this game, but that would be a bit shocking to me if they do actually leave it up. They're going to go Rakan, but you can go Kaisa Rakan. You could go Rakan Rel, which is also a really powerful hard engage duo. But I think that leaving Kaisa up here would be a big mistake because 100 Thieves really only wins game through 5v5, and giving someone Kaisa plus Trist just allows you to throw 3 meatballs around them and play purely 5v5.
Well, they're going to take their time thinking about it. They were hovering the Xayah originally, and now they are going to lock the Xayah, so they're valuing the Lovers duo over the block on Kaisa.
Then you just go Kaisa Rel here.
Yeah, I think there's no way
you
don't
literally
go
run
Kaisa
back
Rel.
game 2. You just go Kaisa Rel, and then you draft, you know, like Nautilus, Ornn, etc. around it. I would be really surprised if they think that Nautilus might be a takeaway, if Pyosik would play it in jungle, and if they think that's more important, potentially you do that. But I think it's Kaisa Rel. I think that Closer's just playing the Rel again. I know you guys don't love it, but game 2 did work really well for them. Of course, it was off a level 1 lead, so it's really hard to kind of, you know, judge that much from it. But I do think that that kind of a draft is 100 Thieves' best chance because they just haven't shown the ability to close out any games in a way besides 5v5.
Yeah, they could go Kaisa Nautilus. Like they could just bail from the Rel. I know it's a meta pick. Like I know it feels bad to let it through.
The team is all booing. The crowd is booing.
Just switch it up to Kaisa Nautilus.
Okay.
I like this. This is the pivot you can make because it's like, okay, it's just going to be a jungler. We already have Rakan, so giving it over is no longer giving over this multi-role flex.
Yeah.
It's literally just giving over row jungle, and they listen to the people.
It's just so funny to me. It's like that meme. You must be truly desperate to come to me, you know, for Nautilus. It's like everyone's excited for the Nautilus pick. So we'll see. Cassio is going to be the answer again. Cassio is something that I have seen as an answer in solo queue to Tristana. It can be actually pretty difficult for Tristana. If you jump in, you just drop down the miasma on him. You know, you really can punish in that way. And you also can fish pretty aggressively with your Qs. If you can connect on that, you're going to win pretty much every trade. The only thing Cassio really has to watch out for is when the explosive shot is up and available. So I think APA on a comfortable champion in a comfortable matchup. We'll see what TL can get done because TL is pivoting pretty heavily from the draft that they lost with in game number 2. I wonder, do they leave Rel up? And if you do, that is like almost insulting. You know what I mean? It's to the point of like, this is one of the highest prio picks. And if they ban everything else, leave it up in phase 2 and still say you can't play it.
Yes, you leave Rel up.
Yeah,
I think you leave Rel up.
If I was TL, I would leave it up. Based on this series, I would leave it up.
That's cold.
I'm not even trying to be.
Cold.
I'm not even trying to talk trash.
I know you're not, but that's cold.
Observing, I would leave it up. I would dare them to play it again.
Yeah, and I think as 100 Thieves, you just ban Gwen here now. You ban Fiora, you ban Gwen, you deny split push, you go Ornn, you go probably towards the Rel, and I know you guys aren't going to want that, but you could go for, you know, physical damage jungler as well, but I don't think it necessarily fits the style that they're drafting for as much. I do think Lee Sin or whatever could fit in. It could be fine, but I do think that like Ornn Rel probably makes the most sense from this position. Just draft multiple forms of hard engage and really look to pile in on and punish this Cassio because the Xayah is going to be tough to dive.
You want to punish the Cassio, she has no movement abilities, and Lee Sin can kick the snake.
Yeah.
This is a great play. I like this a lot. I would love to see
If you pick Trundle here for Pyosik, it's actually so funny. It's basically pre-counter picking, right? It's saying that we know all you guys can do is play 5v5, play for, you know, those kind of tank engaged comps.
Sejuani's
it's
good.
not going to be it though. So Sejuani, so it's going to be a melee pairing for Summit.
Okay.
You just have to think about what the melee pairing is going to be and what he would want to look towards. I'm thinking of Jax because I think that, you know, he wants to play something where he can carry on. He wants to play something that is going to pair well with a Sejuani. So to me, thinking about his champion pool, I almost don't even care what Someday picks. I feel like it's going to be a Jax 5th pick. And it's probably Ornn Rel for 100 Thieves.
Ornn Viego.
Ornn Lee Sin.
Ornn Lee Sin.
Ornn
I
Lee
mean, they
Sin.
might move away from it because they keep losing to it.
It's an elimination game.
Ornn Lee. Ornn Lee. Come on. Come on. You know you want to do it.
I mean, I'm sure he wants to do it. The question is, does his coach want him to do it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't think anyone wants to play the
They
tank
have enough
junglers.
frontline. Like, they literally have enough frontline. They need another damage threat. And they want to be able to play aggressive jungling early against Sejuani. They have to do it.
Okay.
Let's go.
The crowd
100
pops
Thieves deny the Rel. They don't care about it. They forsake the Rel pick, and they're locking in Closer's Viego in the elimination game 4.
And Closer's best game by far this split was his Viego game just a week or two ago against Energy. He had that 6-0-5 Viego game. That is what you're hoping for here. I still think it's going to be Jax, so we'll see if there's going to be some sort of a different angle. I would be surprised if it's not a melee pairing alongside that Sejuani. Jax just feels so obvious to me. You know, if you think about, you banned Gwen, you banned Fiora, those were obvious bans. What is the next champion that kind of slots in that way, it had to be Jax. So I like TL's draft here. But I think that 100 Thieves, what they've drafted as well, gives them the best possible chance to actually win this game. So it's two teams that I think have really gotten kind of what they want.
Yeah.
And it's now who can actually execute best on that, which is really the most fun style of game to watch.
Yes. And I think with 100 Thieves being in an elimination game here in the lower bracket of the Summer Split Playoffs, if you're going to go out, you got to go out with closer on Viego and DoubleLift on Kaisa.
Yeah.
Right? Like they were able to orchestrate a team composition that makes sense while still getting their comfort picks. I really like this for 100 Thieves.
And that's why I was so critical of the rel.
Towards the later stages of the game is likely going to go Gargoyle Stoneplate fourth. These kind of items that are going to make him really tanky. And Jax, Counter-Strike is pretty damn good against double AD carry, right? You're actually deflecting so many of those autos. So a lot of these targets that you would say, okay, you're just going to hard engage, you're going to blow them up. It's not that easy against what TL has drafted.
Busio, you're so cool!
I don't know if you guys heard that, but someone just yelled, Busio, you're so cool, and then everyone cheered.
Can't disagree.
The crowd's loving it. The crowd's loving it. 100 Thieves, backs against the wall. An elimination match here in their first showdown in the lower bracket, up against Team Liquid, who are trying to bounce back from their own first loss in the upper bracket. APA, a player that I've got my eyes on. He's had a couple of misplays throughout this series. We remember his frustration at the loss earlier in their week 1 playoff match, excuse me.
Yeah.
So I really want to see him be able to step up here. If Team Liquid can lock 100 Thieves away in this one, finish the series off with a 3-1 victory, I think that'll be a good confidence booster for him in particular.
Yeah, definitely need to move forward with APA being strong in the mid lane, and Summit immediately trying to make his presence known on the top side. He's unable to steal this, but he's definitely going to make it a little bit difficult.
And he's trying to make it so that somebody has to walk the long way around and could potentially miss XP. So that's actually what I want the observers to show us, is the top lane wave if they can. It would be cool to see if he actually does miss any XP. Looked like he got there for all the melees, but that was kind of what you're trying to accomplish in that situation, is if you can make somebody stay too long for the leash, make him walk the long way around. You can sometimes miss out on some of those minions, which it's worth the attempt, because it's not like level 1 Viego can jump on you. You're not really under any threat.
Yeah, but also it does give complete knowledge for Team Liquid that Viego is starting over at blue buff, so that means that APA can cheat to a specific side of the lane. Also, their bot lane is right now getting pushed in, so it's really hard for Closer to get involved early based off that early play.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a trade.
Both teams honestly should know exactly where they're starting, though, because there was a leash on bot side from TL as well, so they should know that it's going to be, bot side start. Now they obviously see Pyosik walking through mid, so they know you can see the camps. It's just going to be a six camp clear here, very likely, for the Sejuani. And we'll see if Quid can just keep pushing this matchup. I think it's really important in these kind of matchups to keep the push, because you will lose the poke battle, very likely. So you have to just keep the Cassio interacting with the minions and not interacting with you.
100 Thieves with the push here in the bottom lane, just getting this cannon shoved up close, but not all the way into the turret, as Yeon's been doing a pretty good job here with the feathers. Busio getting caught up by those, but the shield from Nautilus means it's not really going to do a whole lot to him.
He actually mistimed that. So Busio tried to use the dematerializer on the melee minion and time his hook, so it would go out instantly as that died, but it was slightly too earlier, so that the dematerializer didn't actually fully kill off that minion before his hook went out, so that's why it just looked like that random hook on the minion.
Yeah. Someday versus Summit is going to continue to favor Summit, as the Jax versus the Ornn will be a pretty good matchup there for the Jax. You'll always like to see Jax have these matchups in the early game where he can start scaling. Jax is one of those champions who has sort of some very old school ability design, especially when you think about his Empower. It's practically nothing but an auto attack reset at level 1, but you max it just because the level difference between 1 and 5 becomes so massive, and it's a huge DPS tool. So now Pyosik's coming up, and Someday has to flash away. So this is what I'm talking about. If early game goes good for Jax, you are feeling great about the state of the top half of the room.
Absolutely, and the wave is actually not good at all for Someday. The wave is going to push away from him. There was extra range minions there, and it's double cannon wave. So he has to actually TP back and try to fix this wave. Pyosik could theoretically go back towards top. I don't think he will, because his camps are spawning on bot side, but the top lane matchup is basically all about avoiding brittle procs from the Ornn. You can lose these kind of matchups as a Jax if you actually use your Counter-Strike poorly, but basically anytime he gets brittle on you, you're going to pop your Counter-Strike and deny that brittle auto, because that's the only way that Ornn can actually take effective trades.
And it also does mean that Summit and Pyosik can continue to play around the top side. The biggest, I think, breaking point for this game will be whether or not Summit and Pyosik can break open the game for Jax, or that does buy time for Closer to try and do something bottom lane. But he's actually come top lane, maybe hoping that someone plays a little over-aggressive as he's just trying to trade with his wave crashing and get something.
He just wants to help him push out the wave, really. The wave is
it.
so screwed, and he has no flash, and they know that Pyosik could be coming up towards topside, which he is now. We can see on the wave, so they need to get this just fully reset and get Ornn out of that difficult situation.
Pyosik back in mid, seeing if maybe Quid's too tempted to jump in on top of the snake, but because there's the ward there, it means that he's not going to get his wish. Instead, just has to walk on through. Loses the Arctic armor, but pause. I always prefer him to be these nice, snappy ones. All right, back into the game. Let's see what we got going on. Not really a whole lot again. Pyosik just passing through the mid lane, was hoping to get the gank, but walked through a ward. And now Team Liquid, with their control over the bottom lane, are going to go for an early Drake.
Yeah, but weirdly enough, this came from Pyosik and Summit getting flash top lane. That pulled Closer top to break what was going to be a bad wave state. That allowed Team Liquid to play very aggressive bottom lane while Closer was there, and Pyosik's able to pick up the first Drake. So just overall, very well done by Team Liquid.
And I want to say this is all 4 games now that TL have gotten first dragon.
Yeah.
They've been really getting the dragons very early, very often. You know, that's a fast dragon, pre-6 minutes here with a Sejuani. And, you know, they keep getting pushed on bot side. And even when 100 Thieves has prio on bot side, they don't seem to actually use it to take dragons. So I do think TL has done a really good job with that. They've been able to secure souls. They've been able to really kind of push the pace of the game by taking it. And even if you're going to go for a composition which doesn't necessarily want to fight for soul, even getting 1 or 2 early dragons buys so much time for your Jax, right? Because the other team is going to go towards these objectives and try to draw in the split pusher, force you to 5v5 when you're not ready. This gives time.
Yeah, and 100 Thieves also wants time for Kaisa, right? When Kaisa can get to 3 items with the current state and all the AP ratios, static shiv, mythic item, can get very, very powerful. So it is looking pretty slow so far.
Yeah. No first blood still, 6.5 minutes into the game. Mid laners are constantly trading. Quid, nicely done, making sure he doesn't get stunned up by the ulti from APA's Cassiopeia. Both mid laners below 200 HP, popping the potions as they trade ultis back and forth.
Yeah, that was really close there. Quid wanted to try to stay in to finish him, but when that last Q lands, he would have actually lost out. So he had to early ult to disengage it. He didn't think he was going to kill him with the buster shot. And he just had to actually stop that trade from continuing. And now TL gonna get pushed, use dematerializer on the cannon, but Someday in trouble. He just has to interrupt.
Someday knocks him up into the air with the Ornn horn. Gets a proc, but Summit flashing in, trying to get it. Summit, closer, fall to Closer, who gets his second first blood of the split.
Technically Closer first blood. That was all set up by Someday, though. Summit unable to execute the solo kill. Closer is on the board.
Right place, right time there for Closer. I mean, even if Summit gets that kill, Closer should be able to trade it back. So it's a good job by Closer, quickly responding. You can see he's over by the Gromp, immediately leaves, comes up to try to help here. Someday gets in that brittle auto with the grass proc, and then flash forward there. Just the HP ticking up, just barely too much for him to go down. That is a frustrating moment for Summit. You barely miss out on that kill. Gives over first blood to Closer, and now Closer gets a great buy. Earthbound Axe plus the Sheen.
Busio trying to lock down the Team Liquid bottom lane here with the 2v2. Closer Viego off to a good start. This is exactly the recipe that 100 Thieves needed. And Jatt, you said it. One of the best ways to enable DoubleLift to carry the game is to get Closer ahead by feeding off of Summit.
Yes, in theory, but there's also everything else that's been wrong with 100 Thieves this year. They did not get the first dragon. They're unable to secure this Rift Herald. They do not have pressure in multiple lanes. So the kill from Closer is a very nice start, but he'll need to get to his first item completion and then be able to push the tempo of the game in his favor.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to see when they're going to try to start fighting around these objectives. You know, they have been okay to give up these early ones. As you said, you know, didn't contest at Dragon, didn't contest at Herald. They have a very slight gold lead, but we're basically dead even with Herald in pocket here for TL, so you can give a little bit of a lead for them, especially with that additional Dragon. But want to see, can Closer snowball? Can he create action? 100 Thieves moving out towards mid. Closer is here as well as Busio, so APA has to be respectful.
Busio only level 5, CoreJJ level 6. So as the supports rotate up to mid lane, their presence is not equal. Closer just going to continue farming now on the Viego, trying to hit that Trinity Force power spike like you were talking about, as Summit crashes a massive wave into the tier 1 turret of Someday up here. The bonk guaranteeing that he gets the first plate. Someday tries to find a little bit of CC on him there, but Summit's just going to proxy farm this wave now. He's got Pyosik hanging out in the river next to him, so he knows that if they get into a 2v2, they can actually try to fight it as long as they're not underneath the range of the turret itself.
And it's actually so problematic when you're in these top lane matchups and you start losing plates when your opponent already has Herald, right? Because you really want to defend that turret as much as you can, stop the Demolish procs from coming through, because someone is going to push aggressively. He's going to stack the wave, he's going to try to ignore you and just get that tower damage down. Because if that gets too low, Herald can just get dropped. It's a guaranteed first turret. We can see for now, Pyosik is just heading out through lane towards bot, and Core is 6, so they're going to look for a hard engage very likely on DoubleLift if he steps even a little bit more forward.
Yeah, Busio is sticking around though. Closer is somewhat close. It's interesting to see if he actually goes bottom before finishing these Krugs.
You saw a blue question mark ping on the tier 1 turret coming out from 100 Thieves, so they're saying, hey, that's probably what they're going for. It's a lane gank. Jungler should be there. So 100 Thieves going to pull back on this one. Yes, Closer is still nearby in case Team Liquid tries to hard force anything. Ward down into the Tribe Rush from CoreJJ, so they know Closer's here 100%. Pyosik also standing on the ward from 100 Thieves. Yeah, 100 Thieves are willing to go for this, it looks like. Pyosik wants an angle to potentially try to snipe, but as soon as they place the control ward down on the brush, they know that their opponents are aware of their presence here, so Closer throws out that mist. Not really going to get a whole lot from that, as all right, both sides are going to walk away from it, but it's APA rotating down from mid lane first as Team Liquid are starting up the second Drake.
Basically, whoever went in first there would have lost the fight. That's why they stood it off there. And APA with the prio was able to start Dragon, but Quid is here. Pyosik goes if they can burst
over the wall. They instantly burst down Busio. Team Liquid with a nice trigger pull, but the top laners are ready to get involved. Ornn onto 3, and it forces out the ulti from the 4th. Quid with a jump over the wall, trying to get away from the helicopter as Summit enters evasion, a defensive stance, and chases after the 100 Thieves mid laner. The Thieves left scattered to the wind as Team Liquid brings everybody down for the party.
Yeah, it looks like Quid canceled some auto, so he didn't actually, I think, fully detonate the E, so he didn't get a reset on his rocket jump there, which made things a bit awkward. They do stop the Herald charge, though, as that was not a good drop. So well done there by 100 Thieves to defend that, but you can look at mid lane, both solos are pushing up there.
But the play's actually not over. Busio's back up with ultimate, didn't use it in that last fight after getting one shot, so the Dragon actually could go over to 100 Thieves despite losing the fight.
Yeah, I mean, Summit's going towards top side, so I don't think they're even looking to contest. APA is going to go back, he does have TP, so they could look for a 4v4, but
there's no ultis on Xayah or Rakan. CoreJJ using the grand entrance to get away from the dredge line of Busio. Dragon secured by Closer. APA is still hanging around, and he has the petrifying gaze, so 100 Thieves, they're not going to look for anything else here. Instead, just walking it back over into mid. Quid with some pressure onto the turret, Tristana's favorite activity.
I mean, that started so badly for 100 Thieves, but overall, it worked out very well. Like, you'll gladly trade a support's life for a Dragon and a denied Rift Herald. So very good sequence overall for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a bit of a scrappy fight, right? It did look like it was going to go bad. You know, Busio gets knocked down immediately. Quid gets chunked out by the Jax as he arrives. But Someday had a really effective ult, you know, forced out the ult from Yeon, which made him play more defensive, hit 3 other members with it as well, as everyone was kind of stacked up there from TL. So allowed 100 Thieves some time to get some damage down, and at the end of the day, they grab the Dragon. It is going to be another Cloud Soul. It feels like we've had a lot of them in this series.
Yep.
We had at least one.
2, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it's 2 out of...
I feel like there was 3, but I could be wrong. There was a Hextech Soul last game.
Yeah.
And I remember one other
Game 2 was actually Cloud Soul. This is also Cloud Soul.
Static Shiv build for Quid's Trist this game. Not something that always gets built. A lot of times we see the Kraken Slayer first, but the Static Shiv build on Tristana in particular makes it so you get the Shiv proc and then you one-shot the backline with the passive on your E. So again, going back to what you were talking about earlier, Isaac, where you don't want to end up having to deal with the Cassiopeia in the trades or the pokes, so you just shove the wave hard, lets you do that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that really is the game plan here. He's not going to go some weird build after this. It is just going to be in towards quick blades, like almost guaranteed. That's pretty much what everyone does go. DoubleLift likely will be going the more standard Nashor's build, not going to be going towards Ludens again, I don't expect in this game. I do think he needs to be able to put out quite a bit of damage to deal with the front line.
CoreJJ nicely hooked from Busio there, going in after the Team Liquid support. They don't hit the follow-up Sejuani ulti, so Pyosik's not going to lock anybody down. Closer taken low, so 100 Thieves has to walk it back out. That was intense, man. CoreJJ got caught there by some beautiful aim from Busio.
Really sick hook by Busio, although it will just lead to a recall. You can see the lane assignments have changed. The duo lanes are just kind of sitting in mid lane. It's a lot of shoving in the side lanes, partially because of the static shiv from Tristana. So if there's going to be action, it's probably probably going to be around the mid lane with the 2 supports who can engage.
And at the end of the day, it's that trade of summoners, right? You know, you got Flash off Core, Flash off Busio, but Closer had used his Flash there as well. So he's going to be a lot more vulnerable at this point, likely working towards Merc Treads, as there's quite a bit of CC, quite a bit of lockdown on that TL side. So we'll need that. 100 Thieves, inside track, onto the Herald. This should be there. As you can see, APA, no TP, he's bot lane. So going to be pushing this up. Yeon will go down towards bot and potentially try to help him actually push that in, because APA is not going to have the best split pushing power by any means.
I mean, that's a lot of bot lane control given up for this Herald currently. APA might be able to finish off this turret.
Oh, Quid getting engaged on with the flash from the Sejuani. He uses the buster shot to knock Pyosik back underneath the turret, finds a lot of damage on the Team Liquid jungler. So DL's play is not going to work out on the top side, but they do get the turret in bottom lane. The tier 1 falls to APA, while the Rift Herald summoned up from the Thieves is going to get one back in mid.
They could have maybe walked that in for a second charge, but I think they're worried about losing too much tempo on the map. So not going to be actually going for that. DoubleLift can look for a base here potentially pretty soon if he wants. He should have quite a bit of gold, about 1,500 gold in pocket. So, you know, doing pretty well at this point, but it is very even across the board. You know, APA as well as Quid, basically about the same amount of gold. DoubleLift a couple hundred gold ahead in bot lane. Summit obviously with an advantage up in top lane, but a very, very even game here.
Yeah, the top jungle gold is just inverted a little bit. Like Viego as the carry has more gold than his support Ornn. And then the support Sejuani versus the carry Jax also have the same distribution. I do not like that play that Team Liquid pulled off in the top lane though, trying to kill Quid and burning your Sejuani flash while the Rift Herald is being dropped mid lane. It's just a matter of where the gold is going to be able to go. Like, you want to, I think, deny DoubleLift as much gold as possible, and him being able to get that Herald charge into the first 100 Thieves turret kill of the game is what 100 Thieves wants.
Second item of the game completed for a single champion with the Leandries, now purchased by APA. Huge power spike for the Cassiopeia. This champion is incredibly deadly once those two are online. You can see the tier is already fully stacked too, considering how spammable the spells are on this champion. So once that evolves into an Archangel staff, he's going to be so powerful in these team fights. I feel like if you're 100 Thieves, you're probably looking for something before he hits that point.
I mean, the most common 4 items I see on Cassio is you go these 3, and then you go into Gargoyle Stoneplate 4, because you are relatively low range. And that makes you incredibly tanky. You know, Cassio does so much DPS in these fights as long as you're hitting your spells. Pyosik though, looking for an engage.
Pyosik on the front line. 100 Thieves can't fire back right into the center. They're going to go after APA instead. But Yeon's already killed Busio. XCC coming up from Someday as DoubleLift is firing from the Drake pit. Pyosik now under pressure, but it's a double kill back over to Yeon. It's traded 2 for 2 as DoubleLift is still alive, trying to find a little bit more damage under the Team Liquid bot lane duo. Quid up at the top side, 1v1 against Summit, and they're both low. Back in the Dragon pit, things continue with a static shift.
Show me the Dragon.
Drake and hitting DoubleLift. He had to flash back over the wall to get away, and it looks like they're just going to walk this one off.
What a fight in the Drake pit right there. It was Team Liquid who decided to pull the trigger, but unable to take DoubleLift down. I mean, Closer's definitely getting a lot of gold this game. Unfortunately, 400 Thieves, DoubleLift unable to pick up any kills and loses his flash in that fight.
Yeah, it does lose his flash, but honestly played it out pretty darn well, because he ulted over APA as APA was looking for the Petrifying Gaze. He's able to get behind him and help to finish him off. You know, had really good positioning in the pit. That's why we can see it again. Pyosik looks for the initial engage. The ulti comes up on APA, but look at DoubleLift. Ult behind him right as the ulti's going to be coming out from APA. Played that out well. Viego gets in. They do get that finish off, and then up on the top side, this is what happened as that TP got canceled by Summit.
Yeah, Closer unable to escape at the back end of that as well. Makes it a fairly even trade. And I think beyond this fight, this is going to be another testing game for Summit. Because I see this Jax, and I do not see a champion that can match him in side lanes. So he should be able to win any side lane he goes to, and then it's all about how well can he play with pressure? How well can he play around his own vision to not die isolated? And how well can he arrive at team fights with the numbers advantage? The power is in his hands because he is the Jax against a Trista and Ornn in the side lane. It's just a matter of succeeding where he hasn't been able to succeed much this split.
And I'm going to be interested to see how Someday actually wants to play this out. Is Busio flashing in?
APA getting dove by 3. Alley-oop slam dunk for Quid. Team Liquid loses their mid laner, and 100 Thieves is going to take the money from that one. They're going to take down the tier 1 turret. They're going to take the gold lead back.
Nicely done. Getting an aggressive play on the top side here. Going to be able to get that kill, but you know, Ornn does have good wave clear, and if Someday feels that somebody's going to commit hard to actually split push, you can go in early Warmogs and just spend your HP to clear out the wave away from the turret so we can't walk up to it, and then go back to the turret and you regen to full every single wave. This is something that not a lot of tank players do, but if you're playing against someone who's going to hard commit to split push, it is actually so effective. So will be interesting to see how Someday does itemize, if he wants to go towards it.
Team Liquid just trying to clear out some of their own jungle here, make sure nothing's going down as the Void Seeker flies off towards the red, but DoubleLift's going to find out that that one's already been taken. Summit down here in the bottom lane. This is pretty much what it's going to look like for a very long time here on this side of the rift as Summit just keeps pushing it up. This is Someday's favorite vacation spot, the little brush next to the turret where he can hide and hang out and wait for the wave to crash in. A couple of bonks back and forth.
His job really, though, is to not actually let it fully crash. He needs to trim the wave before it gets all the way to the turret. Otherwise, someone will walk forward and proc demolish and get hits onto the turret. So you really do have to trade health in these tank versus split pusher matchups to be able to keep it off the tower. Because if he gets full access, he's just going to be in your base in no time.
And I think the other side lane matchup, if they're able to get it, is whenever APA goes to a side wave, like that's a point where 100 Thieves is going to look to continue to attack. You saw them already get the 1 kill. I think Closer being on a carry makes those plays much more likely since he can just do so much more damage than when he's on a rel in the side lane. So even if Summit is able to play well, APA still has to really stay connected to the rest of the team.
100 Thieves need to be aware of the Baron potential of Team Liquid. Whenever Cassiopeia is on the rift, the Baron take becomes incredibly quick.
Yeah.
The Void Seekers continue flying out there from DoubleLift, trying to land as much of that poke as he can. There's a Sejuani ulti. Busio in danger here, but CoreJJ on him is 2. The explosive shot might claim him. CoreJJ explodes, and 100 Thieves get a 1 for nothing.
Nicely done there. 100 Thieves getting a kill onto Core, and now can move up to the top side of River, reclaim some of this vision here. They do have to be wary of where Summit is right now, but at the very least, they're going to get some of this vision back.
Dude, nice play by Closer there. Comfort champs. He uses his ult to dodge the Pyosik engage, and TL has already, in their minds, committed to that fight. So Core's thinking, I'm following up no matter what. He flies in, they didn't actually pick Closer, and they just burst him down.
It's the same thing that I was talking about back in the Rel games. I was like, we're never seeing these flash, shattering strike, magnet storm, crash down combos. But then when you remember back to the carry game that Closer had on the Viego that we were talking about at the beginning of the draft, he was dodging everything. And if he didn't dodge it, he disjointed it with Heartbreaker. He just knows the champion so much better. And that's why I wanted to see it again in this elimination.
And that's what Comfort does for you, right? People do talk a lot about how tanks are so easy to play and, you know, there's no mechanics to it. It's really brain dead. But it's one of these situations where if you don't understand the champion incredibly well, if you don't have absolute comfort on it, you don't know when to go, when you win the all-ins, when you should actually look for these fights in the same way that you will on a champion that you have hundreds of games on. So you really can see that level of comfort that Closer does have, and we'll see if he can take that forward through the rest of this game.
Yeah, the best way I like to describe it is when Closer's playing Rel, he's playing Rel. When he's playing Viego, he's just playing League of Legends. He doesn't need to think about the champion's abilities whatsoever, and he's able to be in a much better state.
Team Liquid still down about 1,500 gold here. They are still in a spot where you have plenty of scaling, right? You're talking about the Jax never really having a champion that can answer him in the side lane. APA still working towards that third fully completed item and the massive power spike that goes with it. The next Drake spawns in about 10 seconds, and TL does have the lead in terms of that objective count here too. Quid using his teleport to get back out into the top side river, clear out some of the vision there in the Baron pit. Rocket jumps over the wall to join up with the rest of his team through a safe path. Closer throws down the harrowing path, but not going to find an opportunity to unleash the Spectral Maw just yet. Nice poke, Void Seeker from DoubleLift. Someday's in the back.
He's going to look to upgrade an item. He has the level available, but Jax is behind him. They know.
They make the collapse. They've immediately found a ton of damage on Busio, and they're going to kill him before the fight even starts. Team Liquid, beautifully done there. As Summit's got to be careful about chasing too hard. Team Liquid finding the enemy support for free means now they're going to start up the Drake, move on to Soul Point.
Yeah, great teleport there by Team Liquid. You'd think that ward was a little bit too far away, but 100 Thieves was just too spread out to be able to make a difference to that flank. They had to bail. Busio is the one that ends up falling, and as you say, Soul Point for Team Liquid.
And there was no ability for them to actually turn on him because Busio was dead instantly, so DoubleLift lost both his sums as well, and now they're going for a fight.
APA gonna get jumped on now as Closer goes in, but he gets bursted down. Yeon's in a rampage, and 100 Thieves may have just lost the game. They were waiting on a pixel rush, but it was warded. APA got jumped on, but he avoids the death. And now, with the enemy jungler down, with the enemy top laner down, with the enemy team completely routed, it's a free Baron for Team Liquid.
Closer thought he saw the angle, but APA was ready for it. Petrifying gaze right away, locks him up, and it allows Team Liquid to jump ahead in the game.
They get the Baron, but it's such a risky play to go for. You're down a man on the map, and they're looking for this play in a 4v5. Sure, you know that not everyone is there just yet, but you have got to insta-kill this guy for this to work out whatsoever. But the immediate flash, great backstep from DoubleLift, and a nice buffer from Closer on the ulti.
Fair.
Actually played it out really well, but
they just had no damage.
You have
Quid
no
couldn't
damage.
follow up.
Quid couldn't follow up, and
yeah.
you're in a 4v5. So to me, it's not the execution. It's like, why are you even going for the fight in the first place? And now that could be the nail in the coffin here. It is match point for TL. You just gave them a Baron. Now you have a Baron empowered split push here that Someday cannot hold. Someday was doing a great job earlier, but you can't clear out those waves as an Ornn.
Team Liquid just retreating from the 100 Thieves aggro here again. 100 Thieves desperate to try to find some sort of a play to stop these guys.
The last time DoubleLift lost a summer split playoff series was 2014. It is so long ago. He has to pull off some type of miracle. He needs his third item before anything else can happen. They have to stop this Team Liquid Baron push somehow. Quid got chunked out though. Team Liquid is just rolling through them.
There's just no way to really slow it down for now. I mean, you know, maybe you can come back later, but the wave clear just becomes too poor, right? Tanks cannot deal with Baroned up minions. It's just the way it is. So Jax is going to be enabled. They're going to struggle on both sides. DoubleLift has some wave clear, but it's not safe on the Kaisa. You're going to be so reliant now on Quid, right? And this is going to be an incredibly difficult position for 100 Thieves.
And the comms have to be chaotic right now. The bottom part of the rift looks like a Guitar Hero track from how many pings at both sides are going off as both teams are trying to figure out where they want to attack, how they want to coordinate. Team Liquid keeping Summit back in the mid lane. He takes the tier 1 turret, applying pressure on the tier 2, double Baroned up cannon minions. Even if Summit's not standing there hitting the turret, those are doing plenty of damage, wearing it down. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the tier 3 is under pressure, having already lost about half the HP on Summit. Closer going mid, looking for Summit, who just disengages. Sejuani, if he hits Quid, he buffers through it, but it's enough to force him back from the tier 3. That falls, and Team Liquid claims the inhibitor in the bottom lane. Now they retreat before Closer and Someday can even rotate over, and TL get what they came for.
TL are just pulling them apart here with this split push. There's no answer to Summit. You send 2 members up to him, so the TL4 on bot side will push forward, claim that inhibitor, getting closer and closer to a playoff victory here, trying to finish up this series against 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves are going to have to try to find their moment to fight. It may be at this next dragon in 130, but it's going to be tough to make it happen.
Yeah, and if they want to make it happen, they're going to have to shut down Yeon somehow. Yeon, Rookie of the Year. He is trying to fill some very big shoes at Team Liquid. It was DoubleLift and CoreJJ, then it was Tactical CoreJJ. Now it's been Yeon and CoreJJ. He told me he wasn't even that happy about Rookie of the Split because he still felt like he had a lot more to prove. Not happy that he didn't win All-Pro, but if he's able to knock DoubleLift out of the playoffs, that could mean so much to him. 5-0-1, 3 full completed items. One more one-team fight could be enough to move them on to the next round.
I'm kind of surprised, honestly. Quid third item, GA here. There's going to be quite a big damage reliance.
Ooh, Pyosik missing the Sejuani ulti there, so they're not going to force the cleanse out of DoubleLift. They never would have been able to kill him because the cleanse would have been used as the response, but they at least wanted to get the summoner spell. Lots of very important items online for Team Liquid. You've got a stopwatch for the Jax, you've got a stopwatch for the Xayah, you've got the Seraphs fully completed now for the Cassiopeia. 100 Thieves' ability to kill them is going to be absolutely throttled by these items.
I mean, Quid needs damage, right? Like, I just don't understand the GA third here. You're trying to stay alive, but it's a 2-threat team. You need to be maximizing damage.
He already has Quick Blade, so he can't build the crown. So he just decided to pull the GA out in this game. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. He needs more damage. I completely agree. There's way too much pressure on DoubleLift in this moment. They're going to have to pull off a miracle, I feel like.
All right, well, the Drake is about to spawn, and it's soul point for TL. They're first into the river. If 100 Thieves want a challenge for this, the execution's got to be perfect. There is no more room for error. It is an elimination match.
This is the most 100 Thieves way to give up soul.
They're backing it away.
Yeah, I mean, it's so tough, right? How do you walk in? Because Summit's behind you.
Yeah.
And if they give the flank to Summit, I think the fight is absolutely doomed. So they just couldn't really find a way in, and supers are coming through bot, so TL could actually even just delay. Now, as 100 Thieves, your hope is Elder. You're praying for an Elder fight, and I think that's pretty much all you're going to be leaving the base for is, Elder, maybe Baron, but I feel like when you're kind of this resigned to staying back, you're likely going to be willing to give up Baron as well.
So when we look at the timers of things, Baron's going to spawn in a minute, which means Elder will be at about 4.5 till spawn when that happens. If Team Liquid takes the Baron on spawn, and then 100 Thieves doesn't contest it, all 3 minutes of the Baron buff will expire, and there'll still be somewhere between 60 to 90 seconds left on the timer before the Elder Drake spawns. So 100 Thieves will have a chance to get back out onto the Rift and contest a Team Liquid that is not juiced by the Baron. It'll all just be about how much can they make sure they don't lose between then, as Summit's in the enemy base by himself, jumps back away to the minions to escape the Ornn, gets out of the way of the Void Seeker.
Gets both ultis up DoubleLift and Someday, as well as the cleanse, so nice aggressive move there from Summit. Knows he's in a great position to get aggressive. He has his Zhonya's third, has that Shojin online. So the cooldowns are so low at this point for him.
His ult's half back by the time we're done talking about the play. So that was one of those where you're like, Summit, what are you doing? Oh, you're like, good stuff. So carry on.
Yeah, well, and this is going to be hard. Again, it's like tanks can wave clear when it's not Baron, it's not supers, but with supers there, he's going to be on the Nexus turrets here pretty quick.
Well, the Baron is up. Summit's in the enemy base. The rest of 100 Thieves do not just want to give the Baron away for free to Team Liquid. If Summit recalls and then joins up with the rest of the team, though, and 100 Thieves gets caught, that's the game, that's the series, that's the split, that's the year for 100 Thieves. Summit with the teleport ready to go. APA does not have his. Quid also without the teleport, so it's only the top laners having them available. Someday clearing the waves away back in the base as Quid rocket jumps over the wall.
That is risky business there from Quid. Playing with fire a little bit, wanted to get an auto down, just try to get a little bit of damage out onto core, but you are definitely walking a fine line. I don't think 100 Thieves want to fight without cleanse on DoubleLift, but I mean, again, I just feel like they're going to be in this position where they don't have great answers to what TL are doing, and I think they're going to end up giving up the Baron.
And I think this is kind of the second game in a row. Team Liquid has actually played very good mid-game macro, pushing waves, being patient, but it all comes down to this. If they can play this Baron fight properly as 100 Thieves contests.
Look at Core and Summit. There's just no way you can walk in here.
They're ready for the flank. The Baron's down to about 700 HP. It's going to be secured by Pyosik on the Sejuani as DoubleLift gets chain seed.
They got him!
God rips the feathers right through him. Busio's going to drop next. Quid goes into the Guardian Angel. He's going to resurrect, but it's only in time to watch the season end. Team Liquid will get a clean ace. They will wipe 100 Thieves off the Rift. They will win this series, and they will eliminate 100 Thieves from Professional League of Legends for the rest of 2023.
CoreJJ takes down DoubleLift with his new partner, Rookie of the Year, Yeon. 8-0-3 in this one. Team Liquid 3-1.
Easy stuff for TL, man. They played it cool, they played it calm, they played it collected, and they played it to a win over 100 Thieves.
And I do think that Team Liquid had a much different look than they did against NRG. They were very frantic last week against NRG, especially in the mid game. Summit and APA were much calmer here. They played much cleaner macro. They weren't even that explosive.